The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hey, welcome back. Looks like it's just you here right now, Kevin, so I hope you had a nice weekend. We'll hang around. I'll wait up a little bit. Oh, I see. Hey, Gabe. Yeah, we'll give everyone a couple more minutes. I think actually while we're giving everyone else a chance to show up a little bit late, I'll just go over quickly some materials engineering, just a quick wrap-up of what we covered yesterday. I know, so we looked at some of these stress-strain curves, and I know there's a lot of information in here, and it's not always easy to really understand what's going on. So I just wanted to kind of try to help you guys understand a little better what actually is going on, and then also what people do with them, and how much information you can really get out of it, because it really tells you so much about a material. So this stress on the y-axis here, it's saying, okay, how much force am I applying? That's basically what it is. How much force am I applying? How much pressure am I applying on this material? And then the strain is how much does this material actually move? So if you see it going straight up like this, then you can put a lot of pressure on it. Because see, you're going way up on the y-axis, and the material barely bends. So that's how to interpret this on the most basic level. Is if it's really high up, you can put a lot of pressure on it, like a tree, right? You can push on a big 2 or 3 foot diameter tree with the trunk, and it's not bending under your stress. But then maybe a smaller tree would bend a little more, but that actually that has to do, it can be the same material, but that has to do with how much material that you're actually pushing on, that sort of thing. But I didn't mean to go there. So then down here, think of this as like maybe something really squishy, but still hold, like it won't break. So maybe something like what will return back to its shape when you push it, like maybe a really flexible spring. You can bend and bend and bend and bend, but then when you let go, it pops right back up into place. Or maybe a I don't know, like there's other flexible things that will just return back to place. Even just a sheet of plastic, if you bend it, not crease it, but just bend it, it'll come back into place. So, and then up here we've got ductile materials that they bend some, and then eventually they get to that weak spot, like maybe so you can imagine like a plastic cup or something, maybe that you stretch it, and then it kind of, some of them will snap. If you can snap a wire. That's more like this one here, this red one that just breaks, and then all of a sudden it's broken in half. It has no more strength. But then this one here is more like a steel beam that it'll bend, and then it still can take more pressure, and then it finally snaps. You can think of a clothes hanger kind of does this. You can kind of bend it back and forth, and it'll eventually break, but it'll kind of return back if you don't bend it too much. So then we looked at how muscles can follow this behavior. They will return, as long as they aren't broken too much, they return back. And even in this range, there's small failures, microscopic failures, that would mean that if you continue to go under, you continue to force and force and force, bend it back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, kind of like that, bending a piece of metal, a clothes hanger or something back and forth, then you'll eventually snap it, because you're making you're building up the microscopic failures until finally, you're really just lowering this rupture point up here. But now, if you bend it really quickly and just snapped it right in half, you bent it all the way in half, and it just snapped, then you would have applied enough stress to take it all the way up to its rupture point. Now, one really interesting thing about these graphs is not just the shape of the curve, but also the area under the curve. So that tells you how tough a material is. And toughness is defined in material science and metallurgy. I'm quoting from Wikipedia here. The ability of a material to absorb and plastically deform without fracturing. Plastically deform just means bending without cracking or snapping, breaking. So it basically bends and then returns to its original shape or close to its original shape. So one definition of toughness, or what this kind of means, is it's the amount, scientifically I guess, is the amount of energy that a material can absorb before rupturing. So when we blow up this picture here, we can see that, yes, so this is the difference between, this makes the difference between a high carbon steel, a medium carbon steel, and a low carbon steel. This high carbon steel is really strong, but it's not very tough. It can't actually absorb a lot of energy. So you can think of this as saying, like, someone can put a lot of pressure on this high carbon steel, but if someone just punches it really quickly, then it's not going to absorb that energy well, because it really can only absorb this small amount of energy. So that you can think of that maybe a cast iron pan or your glass that it can withstand a lot of pressure. You put your coffee table, you can put a glass sheet on a pot and call it a coffee table, and put a lot of things on it, and it's really strong. But if you take a hammer to that glass, then that's a lot of energy all at once, and so it can't absorb that energy very well. Whereas, and that's similar to this, glass and this high carbon steel are on similar levels, even though steel is obviously way stronger than glass. And then there's the low carbon steel that's very ductile, so you can really bend it well. Maybe clothes hangers are made out of low carbon steel because they're meant to be bent, and other things that would be made out of low carbon steel. I don't know, wherever you might need some steel, it's okay for it to bend. I might think of some better applications later. But then you've got this in the middle here, is this medium carbon steel. That has it's hard to tell from this graph, but just trust me when I say it has the largest area under the curve. And that's this shaded region here. And that means it's the toughest. And to be the toughest, it can withstand the most energy. It can absorb the most energy without breaking. So often in buildings, you don't actually want something that's really strong. Well, in some places you might use something that's really strong, but in other places you might want something that's really tough, because you want to be able to absorb that energy, especially in places that, in moving parts. So maybe if you're designing something that constantly gets hit by another moving part, then you don't necessarily want something that's super strong, because that it might actually crack and fracture because it can go over the stress point here. But instead, if you go with something that's really tough, then it can really absorb that impact. So it's kind of like, instead of your glass coffee table, you have a sheet of steel that you hit it and it might make a dent, but with your hammer, it might make a dent in, but it doesn't. It absorbs that energy, and it doesn't break. So that's a quick example. Oh, and then I mentioned a spring. Another thing that you can do with the spring in this curve is, so this is just showing you the beginning part of the curve where it's still linear. As the spring is taking on, it's called viscoelastic material, so it's not just springs. There's a stretchy part of your tendons that behave the same way. It's a protein, and especially it's been studied in like, crickets, especially because they have really powerful jumps that they kind of build up and build up and build up a lot of pressure in basically a spring, and then all at once they let it go, and that's how they jump. And we have the same protein in our connected to our muscles and tendons that help us absorb some energy. But also springs behave the same way, where they take a load. They're under pressure, and they're undergoing strain by their being compressed, and they're moving from their original natural state, I guess. And then once that, and they're actually absorbing energy, or they're under, so that's the stored energy, and then when they, if you pull the pin and the spring bounces back, then they return some energy. That's the area in these red lines, but it's not perfect. It doesn't return 100% of the energy you put in, and so by measuring this curve here, you can actually measure exactly how much energy is absorbed and how much energy, and that's like due to the heating up of the material and vibrations within the material, rather than returning back to the object that it's springing or something like that. And so material scientists and mechanical engineers and others all use these graphs to choose materials to design things that won't break. So with that, that ends materials science, and we'll go ahead. There's one more graph here. You've probably seen this before in school. I don't know that there's much. I don't really have much to say about this. You've probably at least seen some of this where you've got, if it's water, then you've got gas at high temperatures. At high, up here in lower temperatures, you've got solids, and then somewhere in here you've got liquids where it's once you're above the boiling point and atmospheric pressure, then you've not obviously it could be below atmospheric pressure, but as well there's still water below atmospheric pressure, but liquid can exist. And then if you are at a certain point, a very specific pressure and temperature, then you can have actually water and gas and liquid all in this one spot. So I'm afraid I can't really connect a lot of what we said to this. I shouldn't have really brought this up. So if you have more questions about it, we can talk about it later. But I'm going to go on to Unity, make an abrupt change. So this is a really cool game engine. We've got some background information, but let's see. Gabe and Kevin, have you guys installed Unity? Is it installed on your machine? I didn't tell you to. Kevin says yes. Gabe, do you have Unity on your machine right now, Gabe? Yep. Okay, great. Well then, I won't go over how to install it, but if you're going to watch this later on the YouTube video, I guess I'll just quickly tell you where to get it. You'll want to go to, I just had it up. Yeah, unity3d.com, UNITY3D.com. If you Google it, you'll get there, but you can go to unity3d.com/get-unity, and you want to download the personal edition. When you go there, it's a free download. Just click download the installer. If you have a Mac, change the platform to Mac. If you have Windows, make sure you do Windows. If you say you don't have Unity 5, well, go ahead and download Unity 5. I'm gonna, it takes a while to install, so I'm gonna go ahead and, we have some background material to video games that we'll cover first, I think, let's see, yeah. So you'll click download, and then once it's installed, once it's downloaded, you'll want to install it, and it's fairly straightforward. Mostly, you just click next and agree to things. At one point, you'll see the license agreement. You'll have to click agree. You could continue. This is important. And Kevin, you might not have this, so you might want to actually download the installer if you don't have this and add this in. Is the example project. We will be using the example project. But the first three come checked by default, but you want to go ahead and check the example project as well. And that will give you a folder. Once you double click it or open up the program after it's installed, it'll ask you to activate your license, so you want to make sure to click. You won't be able to get through Unity 5 because you don't have a PIN number, but if you go to the Unity 5 Personal Edition, you check that, and you check that you confirm. Basically, if you start making more than $10,000 in gross revenue per year, then you have to buy the Professional Edition. I don't think you guys are going to be making $100,000 yet, but you never know. With some practice, you could make an awesome game, make a lot of money, and make a lot of people happy too. All right, so, or frustrated, I don't know which. And then you'll have to answer a couple questions. You can, it is showing teacher and instructor is clicked here, but you can click student, and I don't know if you actually have to answer all the questions. You could probably click through it, but you definitely do have to create a username and password. Yeah, at least click student and answer the other questions as you like. Then you'll be ready to go. If either of you have any questions about installing it during class, go ahead and interrupt me, send me a question. But otherwise, I just wanted to get that going because it can take a while to download and install. I know I went through that really quickly too. I think you guys have been installing software for quite a while now, so I think it should be fairly straightforward. But it's always complicated, so just ask me a question if you have any. Yeah. So yeah, already went to unity3d.com. All right, so this is what we're going to be talking about today. Let me see if I can make this bigger. Does that work? Yeah, okay. A quick history, a little bit about Unity 5 and what is an IDE, how to get it. We covered how to get it, and installation and setup. And then we'll go into some more details. But so the first video game goes back a long ways. You can tell how old this is by the size, not only the size and the complexity of this computer, the computer screen. It looks like graphing paper computer screen with dials as inputs. And then you can see also that this computer is about twice as deep as it is wide. So this is a pretty old school computer. But they were still making video games back then. One of the earliest was this tennis game that people played. It was called Tennis for Two, made at the Brookhaven National Laboratory by physicist William Higginbotham. Does anyone know the year? I bet it probably was even before your parents were born. 1958. If not before, probably right around the year your parents were born. I think one of my parents might have been was born 2 years before this. So, not 1980, 1958. So, what's that? 57 years ago. So, video games have been around for quite a while. The first gaming console looked like this. It was called the Brown Box, developed by someone who was working in the Department of Defense, and it could be programmed to play a variety of built-in games. That's important. By flipping the switches. So it's kind of like when you buy that when you get a game set and it comes with a chess, and then it has chess pieces. It's a chessboard with chess pieces and checkers, and you flip it over and it has Chinese checkers on it, and you have the little dots. So those are all pre-built in. This is the same way. You push the dot, you push the switch, and you switch which game you're playing. So there's no customizability. What you buy is what you get. That's it. Then Atari came out and revolutionized the gaming world in 1977, about 19 years after the first video game, and they revolutionized it because it was cartridge-based, which means, you know what that means? Anyone? Gabe, Kevin? Have any ideas? The games were a lot better. Yes, it means games were a lot better because other people can design the games. Different companies could actually design the video games. You could play multiple games on the same console, and companies competed to design the best video games that you would buy. Yeah, I know Nintendo 64. I grew up on Nintendo 64, though that came out a lot later than this one. I have never played Conker's Bad Fur Day, but I've seen someone play it. It looks fun. So then, speaking of Nintendo, before the Nintendo 64, though, came the NES, the Nintendo Entertainment System, in 1985. So maybe 10 years later, the company started out as a trading card company, but as the video game industry was about to die, Nintendo brought the industry back because they incorporated color, sound, and these remotes that you can see here. They were the first to use these kind of plug-in remotes with that pad. I'm sure you guys recognize this. I think it's called the D-pad now, and then A, B, select, and start, which is classic across Nintendo. I'm pretty sure even the newest Game Boys have the D-pad, the up, down, left, right pad, A, B, select, and start, and they maybe add a couple new buttons, but besides designing the interface, how you actually interact, has barely changed. Well, at least until touch came out. Touch screens and tablets came out, but that was only a couple years ago. So they quickly invented some characters you probably finally will see some characters you probably recognize. Super Mario Brothers was among the first. Some let's see, this looks like it might be a video. Yeah, let's see if we can get this. So this is one of the first. Sorry, this is a terrible noise. Oops. Oh, shoot. Sorry. I was trying to zoom in for you guys. Oh, well. Okay. I'll flip ahead. Alright, let's listen. Oh, here we go. Nintendo 64. What is it, Sony PlayStation? Now we just start getting crazy. Things just get so much better, so much faster. TVs get better, controls get better, graphics get better. They probably did just get the GameCube. I know, I'm a big fan. Now, I don't remember this one. Is this Sega? Oh, there it is. These are pre-GameCube. Those of you were talking about, Gabe, were pre-GameCube. Oh, and the Wii. PS2, maybe? PS3. And I haven't even played this one before. Anyone know what this is called? This is actually the game. So that last one, you see this right here? Right here? Oculus Rift, that's right. So now the game in reality is, I mean, this is the overlap of gaming and reality. I've never used Oculus Rift before, so or played. I don't know what you call. I've never used it before, so I don't know much about it. But I do know that it's really cool, and it can, it kind of blends reality and gaming. It takes it to a whole new level. So this is our future. But definitely check up on
Just Google it and you can see some videos on YouTube or wherever. So, test your knowledge. And I went through these, and they don't say in the notes what some of the answers are, and I didn't even recognize some of them. So I'll be relying on you guys here. So let's see how many games you can guess. These are screenshots of games that revolutionized the industry, and if I know how it revolutionized the industry, then I'll tell you. Like I said, I didn't even recognize them. Anyone know it? Pong, yep, good one. Both of you got it. All right, what's this? I almost said Pokemon because I didn't look up at the top, but you're right. Both of you got it again. Legend of Zelda. Okay. One of you says Street Fighter, one of you says Street Fighter 2. I'll give it to both of you. I didn't know that one. Blank slide. What about this one? This one looks scary. Doom. You guys are good at this. I didn't know this one either. Oh, it actually has some notes here. Ushered in the popularity of the first-person shooter. It's apparently held as a standard still because of its elegant coding. Though Gabe says Doom 3D was better. All right. GoldenEye, yep. This was one of the first super popular movies turned into a game. Also revolutionized first-person shooters. Oh, let's see. Some of these might have more notes to them. Street Fighter started the fighting game boom. So we saw some other fighting ones later, but it popularized the fighting game genre. Let's see. Legend of Zelda was the first time you could save a game, and it was one of the earliest role-playing games as well. Also Nintendo's most popular series. Pong, made by Atari, was the first commercially successful arcade video game. So it helps establish the industry. All right, now that I know there's notes at the bottom, let's see. Make sure you guys can't see them. All right, what's this? Metal Gear. Oh yeah, sorry, Kevin, I didn't give you a chance. He's got it too, though. It's a stealth game, so it takes the shooting games and turns a twist on it, where you try to avoid enemies, and it adds to the production value by giving a complicated storyline and lots of cutscenes, more like a movie. Okay. What about this one? Yep. DDR, Dance Dance Revolution. Completely original, home platform, no, and still popular today in some places, especially in other countries, even more popular than it is here in our arcades. And thinking you might have to look me up on this, but I'm pretty sure it's pretty popular. It's really popular in a lot of Asian countries as well. All right. Yep, you got it. Portal. Not a very long game, but pretty. It has a cult following. Yeah. Darkly humorous. It says here, powered by Steam. It's one of the first. One of the games that put Steam on the map. And Steam's huge. They're huge in video games now. Yeah, Gabe says he has Steam. And it's a first-person puzzle. It's a pretty quick game, but it's got a lot of depth to it. All right. So that's all we have for now. Maybe we'll have some more next time. But let's see. So, what is Unity? We've talked a lot about. We've seen a lot of video games. Seen people play them. Seen some screenshots. You guys have played plenty of them. You guys knew more than I did about a lot of these older games. Unity is called a game engine. It's cross-platform, which means, I'll read it first. Cross-platform 2 and 3D game engine with a built-in IDE. So what does that mean? Cross-platform means you can program in Unity and then save it in a format that can be played on a lot of different, it can be played on the computer, it can be played on different systems, and that sort of thing. Then 2 and 3D, you can make more flat ones, or you can go, walk into space. I think you guys know what that is. Game engine means it's powered by, usually it has a physics engine, and it has a lot more built into it that helps you abstract away some of the complexity of designing every single mechanic that would take a really long time, but people have figured out how to make it simpler for anyone to program. Built-in IDE. The IDE, does anyone know what IDE stands for? Before I say it. Nope. Not IED, IDE. Maybe I said that, but I meant IDE. Oh, Kevin, you're so close. You said interactive development environment. It's you're 2 for 3. Integrated development environment. So the integrated part means, I think you guys know what development environment means. It basically, text editor, it can be a development environment, even though it's a pretty poor one. Maybe if you combine it with, if I open up, well, you can't see this actually. Shoot. Now it's in the way. Okay. If I open up my folder file system and my notepad, that could be considered a development environment. Instead, I can use this program Unity to manage all of my file system and how it connects to all the files that I program, all the code. And integrated means that it's all in one spot. And often it'll add really complex layers on top where, if you're programming in a certain language, it can really kind of almost guess at what you're going to do next and make it really simple, sometimes without even having to do, real programming with code. Even though it's very flexible, you can sometimes even switch back and forth. Well, we'll switch back and forth between using code and just typing in values for different fields. So it makes things a lot easier. Yes, cross-platform means it's not limited to development for any particular environment. So it's not limited to Windows. You can make it for Windows or gaming console or Mac. Right now, as of 2014, I'm reading from the bottom here, Unity supports Windows, Linux, Mac, Android, iOS, BlackBerry, PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, Adobe Flash, and most web browsers. So you've got PC, mobile, and console gaming, plus the Internet Adobe Flash. So that covers pretty much everything. Well, there's a lot of other tiny things, but all the big stuff is covered. Integrated development environment. We kind of went over this already, but specifically, it's a graphical user interface, a GUI, GUI. In the industry, it's called that's called GUI, that makes development more efficient than a text-based development environment. Like I said, if I just open up the folder system and my notepad, that's a text-based development environment. We'll see that Unity, you guys have used Unity before, you said, so you've already seen the integrated part of the development environment. And then what is the game engine part? So that it's kind of combined with the IDE because it's very specific. It consists of 4 elements. A window for manipulating assets, kind of like file management system. Like I said, opening up the folders, or in Mac, I guess you go to Finder to see your folders. Then you've got various buttons and text boxes related to the properties of these assets. And you can think of assets as any type of a game element, I guess. Yep. So that the properties and attributes kind of tell how the assets are impacted by things like pressing a key or something exploding and they get hit. You know, do they explode too, or are they a stiff wall that things bounce off of, and nothing can break through? So then the third thing is a means of entering code or scripts. So basically, it says the text editor. Yeah, so you have to get your hands dirty with the code, actually programming, and then the fourth thing is the compiler, builder, debugger that helps you. The compiler and builder, they make it work on that's what you can, how you compile your code and make it work in Windows, Linux, Mac, Android, whatever you choose. And then the debugger obviously helps you find bugs, keeps your code error free. So some examples of some games: Blackguards by Daedalic Entertainment, also Gone Home for Windows, Mac, and Linux by the Fulbright Company. Now, an important note is these games had not just a team, but often teams of developers working on them. But all of these developers started where you are now, with very limited experience. You guys had some experience, you said. So, but really, I don't know how much experience you actually have, but I'm assuming that you have fairly limited experience actually designing really complex games. So we're going to start from the basics. So we've gone through downloading. How are you guys doing on the downloading front?
And by the way, hey, Mr. Cato, this is Tom Dubik. Guys, how we all doing? As Mr. Cato just asked you, if you've downloaded version 5, if you got it finished, just let us know on the bottom there. All right, it's taking forever. Yeah, I understand. Hey, guys, how you all doing? That's good. So it does take a long while to get it to download. If Mr. Cato, do you mind? I know I'm jumping right into your thing, but can I show them? Can I ask them a couple quick questions? Like, would they be up for another webinar right after this one to watch their stuff print? And if you give me the screen, I can show you an example of a print going on.
Yep. Here you go.
All right. Thank you. All right. Show my screen. All right. So here's what I want you to show you right here. Here's a print going on right now. We've got Polar ended up replacing one computer for us, and now I've picked and ended up with the second Polar printer. So really, I have 7 printers now available to us, and I think I bought the majority of them. I think 5 of the 7, and I'll be adding 3 more. So this gives you a sense. He's got a flag US thing going on here. It's still 71%. It's got, it's not going to be done till late. Lucky news is I have a second printer hooked on here. So we can go right to here. We'll pull it up. And this printer right here is idle and ready to go. And it sounds like you're at a good stopping point for be ready to go Wednesday.
Yep.
But I think because I don't think you're getting into Unity, I'm just going to be able to show you the interface a little bit.
Yep.
All right. Now let me ask, first of all, 2 questions here. I'm going to ask them. Thank you, Edo, for telling me that. Mr. Gabe. Hey, Gabe. Hey, Gabe. Okay, you might be right. You might not have a mic. First of all, have you gotten downloaded and installed? All right. He's getting his mic installed. I'm going to mute him for a second. Then I'll try to bring up Kevin. Kevin, have you got version 5.0 download installed? Hey, Kevin.
Yeah, he said.
Good, he's got it. All right, Kevin, do you want to stay on? In fact, you can see this little yellow thing that I printed out here. Do you want to stay on? If I sent you a webinar invite in a few minutes, would you want to do it today? Or is today not going to be a good day? Okay. No, it's fine. Just Kevin, I need a little more detail. Would you like to see your thing print tonight, or would you want to do it Wednesday night? I'm just trying to figure out what you want to do, man. An answer would be helpful. I really don't have any minutes, so it's all good. Okay, your call on it. Fair enough. All right, I'm going to go on mute Gabe. Gabe, do you have anything you want to print?
Yes, sir.
All right, great. You shared it with me last time, didn't you?
Say again?
Shared it with me last time, didn't you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. So I'm going to go to the collection here. Which one of these are yours?
None of those, but I do have it on the Edmodo.
I don't want.
Wait.
Wait a minute. We would have probably loaded it up here. That's why I'm a little bit surprised.
Yeah, I don't see mine anywhere. I have, yeah.
What was yours?
Mine was a skull, and then I had an iPod case. If you want, I could send you the links to them.
Okay. Send me the link right now. I'll make sure I'm in Tinkercad. We'll bring it up and do this right now. Okay. And what I'll do is, you do that, and I'll tell you what I'm going to do is right now create a webinar so we can do one right here in a moment. All right, just 7 to 8. I'm going to link you. I'm trying to figure out what time webinar I can do you for. 7 to 8. He's going to come on 8 to 9. Let's try. Tom Dubik is right now with the girls. Okay, I'm going to hook you up. I'm going to invite you to a little bit different webinar. I'm going to put it on the link here in a second, okay? Let me see if I can schedule what. No, that won't work. I have to get out and go to webinar.
There you go, sir.
You have it there? Did you
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right,
It's public, and I just send it in chat.
Okay, let me look down here. Let me see chat. Thank you.
And there's my other one I would like to print.
All right. Here's what I'm going to do. And I might just invite you. What I might do is instead is just invite you, make a member of the club on Polar 3D. I just did a search. It's saying it can't find it.
Oh, hey, type that into the link.
Let me take it up on top. Yeah, let me take it off there. It's gonna.
Yeah.
Oh, it's good. Okay. Give me 1 second here. Let's try this up here. Bear with me 1 second, guys.
Oh, hey, you,
I got that equal sign in there. Is that yours?
Yes, sir.
So you want to print the skull?
Yes, sir.
What size is it?
Oh, I'm not sure. Hold on.
Well, that was, remember, that was the only thing. We wanted to set sizes of skulls. Let me go ahead and copy and tinker it. Let me see what size it is. And I can start the print. And then what we'll do is we'll invite you in here. Also, I got to make sure it's grouped all together. Hang on. Come on. This is a beast of, all right, here we go. You've got a skull. Let me get the dimensions of this bad boy. I'll have the dimensions in a second here. Okay, why is this not giving me the dimensions here now? try that again. Give me a ruler. The ruler's there. That's weird. Okay, did you just upload it onto here? Yeah.
Say again? This has been on here for a while, and it's 17 millimeter. Hold on.
Let me turn
This
the
is
volume down.
this is being really weird.
Yeah, mine.
I'm sorry. Okay, it's 120 millimeters tall.
Okay, that's a bit much. Right.
All right, what's the maximum size?
How wide and how depth? I need to know all those things. I know you want to make the biggest skull you want, but I want you to know.
Okay, here. Okay, you see inspector on the top right? Click unlock transformation.
Unlock transformation.
Yes, sir.
Interesting. I've never had the transformation choice up there before. Do you know what that does? Good
Yeah.
thing. I'll learn something today. Good.
Yeah, it locks everything so nobody can edit it.
Oh, so you can't change the dimensions?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's.
You could
if I say-
change them now that it's unlocked.
What's that?
You could change them now that it's unlocked.
Yeah, I see that. It gave me that choice. Good. Oh, I know why it doesn't want to change that. Because you've got all these other things on here.
Yeah, it's crazy big.
Yeah, and you can't let me group it, so it's trying to make it that. Here's the deal. That would tie up a printer all day and all night for a day or two. It'd probably be a day and a half, our printers. Because I know I printed a tongue skull, which is not even this big, and it took 23 hours to print. So that's a little bit too big for us. So
All right,
let me think. Can you get another skull that we can shrink down to something a little more manageable? I'll let it run all night, especially if Dave doesn't mind. So what I need to do while we're doing this is I'm going to invite you to Polar Cabs collection. So let me go. I need you to go to Polar Cloud and sign up for that. All right? Let's try to do this in the next 8 minutes here. I need you to go to Club Home. Let me see. Let's see if there's an invite here.
Is it just polarcloud.com?
Yeah, let me see. Find more clubs. I don't need that. Let me see your club summary.
It's got a bunch of downloads.
Email invite. Here we go. I'm going to send you. What's your email? Your
Gabriel, I'll type it in chat if you would like.
place. Just do it in chat. And Kevin, if you want to put it in chat, we'll put it in there for you too, if you want to see this. All right, there it is. Excellent. Let's go ahead and get this for Gabriel. All right, I just sent it to you. Let me know once you're in there, okay? Because
I just grouped all of it.
all right, great. Excellent. I'm glad you tried. You got it to group. When I'm not sure why mine wasn't grouping. Okay, did you join the club?
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, I'm going to give you an invite for the club, your email address, all right?
Oh, sorry. I didn't join it yet. Sorry about that.
It's probably not looking for it. All right, let's see, son. Yeah, I won't let it until I get your name. Tell me once you've joined it.
I have not got it yet.
I'd check your spam then. Or it's taking a little while to send it, apparently. Hopefully you're on it.
I have
I'll
it.
look up CK.
Yeah,
Did you find it?
yes, sir.
All right. Because then if you're in a club, I can run it, you can watch a club. What it'll do now, let me tell you what's going to happen. Once you join the club, you'll watch it print, but it's going to, they made a change, and they're going to revert back to it. But they increase the quality of the picture, but then they only put the picture updates every 15 seconds. I've already voiced, and other teachers have too, that no, we'd rather have lower quality, but you guys see the whole thing real time the entire time.
Okay, I just created an account on the website. I have no clue where to go now.
Okay, I'm going to see if I can find you, and I'm going to invite you in a second. You're going to go to Club. You're going to go to Polar Club. It will be the second one down.
Yes, sir.
Let me see if I can see that. Did you invite, is Gabriel as you? Let me try.
My name on here is just Gabe Smith. Gabe.
Gabe?
Yes, Gabe's. It's capital G, space Smith. That's weird.
No match is found. It might take it a minute to. I'll get these up here. Hang on.
Oh wait, I have it. Sorry, I forgot to save my. That's my account.
So do you have an account or now or not?
Yes, sir. I have one.
Okay, and unfortunately, it's still not letting me find you yet.
I just sent you the link to my account.
I'm looking here. Well, I should be able to invite you to the club. That's the thing. That's kind of strange.
Tom, try refreshing the page. It might have to reload since you had to.
Yeah. There you are. All right, so we got your profile. Go to this. Hang on one second. I'm glad you grouped everything. Let me go back to, of course. There we go. Let me try this. All right, let's try it again. Gabe Smith, there it is.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I've sent you to the club. All right.
All
Kevin,
right.
do you want to be on this club or you're all good, dude? All right, so then if that's the case, you're in the club. Then what I want you to do, okay, Dennis, you got to accept it.
Oh, I haven't.
I've got 2 members. There are other teachers. I need to put Mr. Cato on this as well. Let me refresh my screen once you've accepted it. Because once you have, there you go. Now go look over on my screen, click on printers. All right. Printer 2 is printing right now. Okay, and you can look at my screen and see it.
Is it?
Now let me go to. Now let's go to printer 1. Let's look at your skull. Have you grouped that?
Yeah. Oh, I grouped it on mine, but I don't think it's on yours. That's grouped. Hold on, let me see.
Well,
There's individual
let me see.
parts that didn't like this. Stay grouped.
Okay, you should be able to. I'll tell you what, you're on there. So here's what you should be able to do. Now I'm thinking about it. You should be able to go to Polar 1 since that's idle. And we need to load, all right. We know to go to objects. Real quick, let's go to objects. All right. Now, do you have an upload STL file there for it?
Hold on again.
All right, so go to objects and see where it says upload.stl.
Okay, now it is all grouped on mine. Sorry, what do I need to do?
Do you know, go to Polar Cloud. You see, go to objects to upload STL.
What do I go to see that?
Go under Polar Cloud. See, look at my screen right here.
Yes, I see it. Oh,
Click on objects.
Do I need to download the Tinkercad STL?
In a minute, I'm going to show you. You can do it in a minute here. I just want to see it. You see where the upload STL is?
Yes, sir.
Okay, in a minute, I don't want you starting it until I'm set on this end. What's your phone number? I'll talk you through it. We'll get out of this webinar so the next and another class can start up, and you and I will watch it. And then I'll set up my computer screen so you can watch it on both ways. You can start watch it real time the other time. What's your phone number right there? Gabriel. Gabe.
Yes, sir. I just sent it to you in chat.
Oh, okay. I'm trying to write this down. All right. Okay, I'm going to call you in about 2 minutes. All right? We're going to end this webinar. Stay in the cloud. Stay in the Tinkercad. Shrink that thing down from, what did you have it at? What's the dimensions right now?
It is at 121 feet
All
high.
right, so that's 10 centimeters across. All right. Try to bring it like, see what happens if you bring it down to 60 centimeters across.
Across, the 120 was tall.
All right, and how tall? I'll tell you what, let's jump off this, and you can sit, and we'll talk over the phone. I'll call you in a minute. All right, we can figure out what's best. Goodbye, everybody.
Have a good night, everyone.
Good night. Thanks, Mr. Cato.